Also, concerning movement and gravity and how lines work, you want to pay attention to, see, like these lines here, or a pair of lines like that. That means movement. That's gravity at work. That's this guy is coming down and that's remaining up. That's gravity. So that's another line relation you may want to remember, is like little things like that help to show movement and gravity. It's not exactly the squash and stretch animation, but it's still animation. It's how you can sort of animate and show where something's moving. Sometimes if you're drawing, not from reference, but it helps not only to add a three-dimensional quality, to have things that are twisting around and going behind each other, but the way that they move and those lines can indicate that something is moving. You're basically creating a trail or something as a clue that gravity exists and there's something happening. Like the hair. Often hair works that way, where you can just sort of add those little indicators basically to show how something is moving. And see those indicators, like I was talking about on a prior video, of one line moving behind another line is so important. You want things to overlap. Sometimes when you start off drawing, you're not drawing one thing in front of another. You're just focusing on drawing a figure and getting your anatomy correct. So you may not think about it that much, but also just on the body, when you're drawing a figure, you still have things overlapping, you know, a line going in front of another line, and you need to focus on that. It'll bring out shapes and help you recognize what's going on in the figure, as well as making things three-dimensional. See, like these lines here on the knee, or the calf and the knee, this is going in front of the knee, so you have it going there, you know, the knee that's behind it, the line goes behind the other line, so it creates that three-dimensional. See there too, on the elbows, sometimes you have the forearm just to indicate that it's being foreshortened, that the forearm is in front of the elbow. The forearm is what's coming at you. So I'll leave a little indicator there of the elbow going behind that line in order to create that three-dimensional quality. And there's a lot of, you know, here on the guy's side, I've got him on his shoulder. Everywhere you're thinking about what goes behind what. I sort of added in a few here on this guy's shorts just to sort of overemphasize that, you know, this is in front of this, to show that overlap instead of just having somebody sort of guess. You know, you want to make it clear and evident. That's really what you're doing. And again, like I was talking about, if you got a leg that's coming towards you, you know, you'll get this. You got the leg that's going away. See those lines going the opposite. That's that rhythm that you want to pay attention to. If you don't get that when you're trying to draw some obscure materials or something, you know, and you've got lines over here that are too much like this, and lines over here that are also like that, it kills the effect. It's harder to decipher that one thing is coming forward and the other moving away. I like drawing the UFC stuff, of course. There's some downsides to how I'm working on these, the medium, and how I've got my sketch pad, you know, angled down instead of upright, as if I was working on an easel. But you know, there's upsides and downsides to everything you're working on. I like to work in line, so you know, this ain't too bad for me. I also like to use blue pencil on rougher paper like my sketch pad here to rough things out. I like the waxiness of it and everything, but I don't know how that's going to show up on the camera, so I'm not doing that. Maybe I'll do one bigger sometime and try to show you actually my arm movement. And you know, I tend to draw like this, and that comes from drawing on an easel, life drawing. You're supposed to learn to use your whole arm and movement in order to create lines instead of, this is really elementary school stuff here. You shouldn't be holding a pencil like this unless you're working on fine detail things. But one of the plus sides to UFC, as a little hint I'll give you, is learning how to draw feet. It's excellent. As well as, like here, there's things happening and there's movement and gravity. A lot of beginning artists don't realize, and they're looking for things to draw. They're finding pictures of people posing, and that's horrible because, you don't want to capture some static thing like that where there's nothing actually happening. You want to capture things happening in gravity and movement and everything else, as well as just, form and what something looks like. Drawing from tabloid magazines like Star and things like that is a great reference, because you find those nosy photographers are finding, celebrities in real life actually doing things, walking down the street and stuff. The paparazzi, they're doing us an advantage as artists of giving us something like real to draw. So that's a good thing, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, just so I can post these, whereas I kind of worry about copyright and all that BS when I'm just sketching out of, like a tabloid magazine or something. UFC is great for learning how to draw feet and the transfer of weight and everything. You get feet from every angle. You got guys on the ground, knees as well, because you've got guys in the guard position on the ground. You're looking at people from all angles too. There's not just straight up and down. A lot of these shots I'm choosing now kind of are, but I still kind of choose them where there's things going on, and it's rather dynamic. So UFC is great for drawing feet, a little bit of facial expression, but usually you're getting some of them awkward faces of people exhibiting effort. So it still makes it interesting to draw the face, even though it's not emotional all that much, because that's something you don't want to draw, just blank faces. A face that's just meek without any expression at all, because that's what we're trying to capture, is expression and emotion. One of the setbacks, of course, is drawing hands, and I really like to draw hands. It's not something I shy away from. I really enjoy drawing hands. I'm just not doing it on these, even though they're not being shown, just because it's a time thing. It might take me a little bit longer to do that, so I'm not. UFC's horrible because of the gloves. You can't really see the hands and stuff. And hands is so important. It adds so much dynamism, and hands are very expressive also. Hands can show whether you're being delicate or you're not being delicate, like how you're handling things, what you're doing. And hands they pass in front of each other. They're very three-dimensional. Hands are as expressive as a whole figure, the whole body moving. The hand is just the same. It's very expressive. Hands are like your full figure or your face. They can show emotion and everything else, and it's sort of what's going on, how your hands interact with the world. Very, very important to learn how to draw hands. And they make drawing so much more dynamic too if you got these hands in here, because you got all this detail going on, and you got all this things going behind other things. It would really draw your eye to this area and really make your eye wander and focus between what's going on the hands, and it just would make this drawing look a lot more detailed and a lot more intricate if I just had those three hands there. You wouldn't be focusing on all these long lines and stuff. You'd be focusing on all the contrast going on up here, and the little intricate line work would make all the rest of the longer line work sort of tie together the drawing. Drawing hands is very, very important.